Today, Education Choices are thrilled to welcome Olivia Buchanan to tell us all about Falcons Preparatory School for Boys, which is situated just outside London in Richmond.
It's such a pleasure today, Miss Olivia Buchanan, to have you on our podcast and to be able to talk a little bit about Falcons Prep. We've got a few questions that we'd like to ask, and I'm sure many people will be keen to hear some of what you've got to say. First question today is, tell me about the ethos of Falcons Prep and what characteristics you aim to instill in the children.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for having me. So here at Falcons Prep, our ethos, I suppose, is really underpinned by three core values. The first being where we believe an education is for life. It goes without saying that we're focusing on the academic achievement of our boys, but we believe an education should be more about outcomes alone. So you often hear about schools talking about lifelong learning or a love of learning. Here at Falcons, we really want to get down to what does that really mean? For us, it means giving the boys the tools and skills to develop their natural curiosity, to encourage them to ask questions, seek answers, and just have a go. For them, we want them to love the process of learning, and that includes making all of those mistakes as well. In doing so, they emerge as intelligent, resilient boys who are capable of reflection and well prepared, we believe, for the opportunities that lie ahead. We also believe that this is a school where every boy belongs. We're passionate and knowledgeable about what it takes for boys to thrive. Our nurturing environment gives pupils the time and input they need to become confident, independent learners. We have a diverse range of boys coming from a variety of different educational backgrounds. And through our specialist teachers, we're able to give them exactly what they need to thrive. Our modern facilities, and as I said, our specialist staff and a whole range of subjects ensure that they grow at both the academic, physical and social level. And lastly, you'll often see next to Falcons the word adventure. We believe this is a school where learning is and should be an adventure. Our teaching methods are anchored in the curriculum, but we want to bring them alive in new ways that capitalise on our boys' natural enthusiasm, curiosity and creativity. So we want to infuse the learning here at Falcons Prep with a sense of and spirit of adventure, getting them and giving them the freedom to explore, the courage to make mistakes, to get outside and use all the fantastic green space that we have on our doorstep through the use of forest school, outdoor pursuits and activities.
What kind of environment do you think this creates?
I think that it's important that we're providing that nurturing environment, an environment where the boys feel safe, but also a stimulating and inspiring space where they can safely take risks, ask questions, and develop a true sense of self. As I said, we care for them academically. We want them to strive to be their best and to reach their academic potential. But we have a huge emphasis on the importance of pastoral care. And you'll note that when you come and visit the school and you move around, the relationships that our boys have with the staff. We know each boy individually. We know what they need in order to thrive. And because our boys are happy and they feel supported, they take more risks. They're willing to have a go. They aren't afraid of making those mistakes, and they just embrace that learning journey. So we've crafted this careful environment where there's academic rigour, academic aspiration, but also a sense of community. And we often call ourselves a family.
When you're talking about specialist staff, are you referring to additional learning needs?
No, so when we refer to specialist staff, we're talking about all of the academic subjects. So whilst we have class teachers that are based and largely teach our boys in the lower school up to year 3, we have specialist staff, much like a secondary structure, whereby the staff have all got a degree in their subject, ranging from the humanities subjects of geography and history to director of music, French, art, drama, science. They're all specialist trained teachers in those subjects who feed down and have an impact on those boys' learning right from reception all the way up to year 8.
That sounds amazing. What does the school do to support the children to address any gaps that they might be demonstrating or showing in their classroom since the different lockdowns that we've had?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think the answer is still certainly being discovered as we finally have, I suppose, our first normal term in 18 months, whereby we can really see where those gaps are. I think we're very lucky as a school who was able to perform very highly during distance learning and continue with our full offering of curriculum and co-curricular activities, that academically the boys haven't suffered too much. And actually our recent scores suggest that our boys have maintained, if not continued, to make really positive progress in both their English, maths and learning across all the subjects. But there's no doubt that children, as have adults, have been prevented from socialising and developing certain communication skills. And even for us as adults, having maybe been at home for a period of time and communicating via Zoom or Teams, going back into large spaces where we're communicating with one another in lots of different environments and settings can be quite difficult. So we spent a lot of time and effort on reviewing the sort of induction process and that transition journey for our new starters coming into school in September, and ensuring that they had links with the school, they had buddies. We get permission from current families to share their contact information, so families can make contacts and arrange play dates before the terms begin. So the boys joining the school already feel part of the community and have some friends and friendly faces around the school. For our nursery boys and moving into our reception, we ensured we had home visits, we had forest school sessions for them to join with their families on site in the school. So again, it's this whole idea of them becoming and feeling like they're part of our school very early on. And that's what sort of we needed to happen. It's all communication, how they work with one another, letting the boys know that they're in a safe environment, and there's some consistency as well in what they're getting, because it's been quite an inconsistent year for us all.
Thank you. When I spoke to Mr. Simon Williams, the headmaster at Churches, he mentioned one of the biggest things that they were noticing was some of the role modelling. So whereas in previous year groups, the older children had modelled to the younger children kind of ways to behave or how to interact, there was a little bit of a gap with that. Have you found some of that?
I think there might be elements of that. I think we worked really hard as a school to ensure that our leadership boys and our older boys still were there in the classroom and with the boys. So we actually set up a vertical tutoring system during distance learning, whereby our year 8 boys actually had, along with a teacher supporting on Teams, led sessions every Friday afternoon with a mixed group of boys from all the way through the school, and they would do all sorts of different activities. So we had virtual treasure hunts going on. Some of them were doing bake-alongs and they were doing mud cakes. And the older boys were modelling and talking to the younger ones. And they loved it so much that now we've brought it back actually into school. So our year with them and are sort of modelling all those different sorts of behaviours. So we were able, through our innovative staff who just kept ways to do things, we were able to actually continue to get our older boys modelling good behaviour and being part of the younger boys' journey as well.
That's fantastic. What can the school do for young children and their families in the local community?
I think there's a lot of pressure, and rightly so, that as schools that are in fortunate positions to want to give back, and we often talk about wanting to support our boys in becoming responsible citizens, knowing their place in society and ensuring that they are aware of what they can do to give back. So that is sort of threads through everything we do in the school. We have very active and positive relationships with our neighbours. Pre-COVID, we worked with a variety of different charities that were supporting those that lived alone or were maybe more elderly in the community, and we'd invite them for tea parties, and we would play board game afternoons with them. Our older boys would host those sessions. We invite them to our weekly assemblies, our Christmas carol services, our remembrance services, so just involving them in the community. We since have, with our reception, we've got the Nest, which is a virtual early years hub for families and children. And this is both virtual, but also with on-site forest school sessions that children can come along to those sessions and work with our current boys and with our staff. And we also host FED talks, similar to TED Talks, slight twist on the name, but Falcons educational talks, where we invite a series of different guest speakers from the community, maybe parents and staff, to deliver talks, and we invite the community to come along to that as well. So there are always plenty of initiatives, charity initiatives, for us to get involved in the community. It's very important that we model that to the future generations.
And please, can you explain for those listening about the forest school? Sorry, it's not one of my questions we mentioned, but you talk about it quite enthusiastically for someone who might not know what is your forest school.
We're very lucky that our head of early years is a level 3 trained forest school leader. Forest school is based on the idea of children learning through play and through experiences, giving children the opportunity to take risks and to explore and really to enhance that natural curiosity that children have in asking questions and wanting to seek answers out for themselves. So our forest school is based on the fundamental sort of training and learning of what forest school is, coming over from sort of Scandinavia. We have our own site there, and the boys will learn how to use tools, how to build fires, how to make dens, dig holes, look at insects and crafts, really getting in touch with the natural world, which again, I think is so important, particularly maybe during sort of a COVID time when we've become so dependent on technology. So the nest is part of our forest school. Our boys in the lower tier all have it as part of their curriculum. Our pre-prep school come to use the forest school as well, and we open it up to visitors. So it means that your child can come along and have a go in our forest school, learn some new skills, and might even be able to make some bread or cook a sausage or something on a fire.
I have to pop along. Falcon speaks about how education comes with adventure. How is this seen in the early years? And how does this ethos benefit them?
So this is very much linked to sort of forest school. We have a huge emphasis placed on outdoor learning, and the boys learning through play is not about giving them the answers, it's about giving them the skills to ask the right questions and to be able to know where to look and seek those answers out for themselves. So encouraging them to take risks, encouraging them to develop a series of different dispositions such as resilience, where they can be independent, they can develop their own tasks and games, really allowing them to be creative, use their imagination. And then through developing the risk, they start to be able to analyse and strategize and take that further with their next steps, so really helping their thinking skills, their language and their communication skills. So they do this through both indoor and outdoor play and through a series of unstructured and structured play as well. But an emphasis, as we said, on getting outside, the freedom to explore. And really, as adults, if we think about that word adventure, it's this idea of exciting, going somewhere we're not sure where it might end. And surely that's what learning should be about. It should be exciting. We shouldn't necessarily always know where it's going to lead us. We should just be really enthused and excited about that journey and see where it takes us.
Fantastic. What have you enjoyed most about having a reception class? Because this is something new to Falcons, isn't it?
It's amazing. My office is quite close to the reception classroom, and I have my door open sometimes, and just listening to their little conversations and their curious minds is just puts a smile on my face every time I hear them. I think just the other day I heard one of the boys shout, "Oh, I stink, I need a shower," to the next time seeing that they're fully covered in mud from head to toe from having a mud fight in the mud kitchen out in the playground and just having so much fun, but then using the mud to create pictures and art and then going and talking about it and creating a story together. So we're thoroughly enjoying having the reception boys with us. They've already been involved with the whole school, and the older boys are supporting them, playing with them. They made a harvest loaf with the boys in their house last week, and it just brings the whole school together again. And it's so lovely to see the journey, from starting with us at 4 and then our 13-year-old boys, who are like young men, being able to act as those positive role models and support them. So it's a lovely addition, and we love having them on site.
How many are there in reception?
We look to have a maximum in reception of around 12, and then we can increase this going into year 1. And then the class size increases again going into year 3, where we move to 2 form entry. So we're 1 form entry through reception to year 2, and then 2 form for 7+ into year 3.
So a bigger intake then. Having only just started reception age children, why do you think parents should consider Falcons for their son's education?
I'm strongly committed to providing an education for boys from age 4 to 13. And the traditional prep school journey. I've been witness this school and previous schools, to the many remarkable examples of how this environment can benefit boys of all abilities and personalities. I believe it's in traditional prep setting where our boys learn to form dynamic and caring relationships with a range of people. They build upon these core set of values that inspire them to be the best that they can be. Falcons, as we've mentioned, provides a really nurturing environment, a safe space, but also a stimulating and inspiring space where they can take risks, ask questions, develop a true sense of the self and their identity, be who they want to be. But we focus on developing the individual, tailoring and targeting what they need at any particular point during that journey, and know that one size isn't going to fit all. And then what they need at one point might not be the same as what they need at another. So constantly reviewing, adapting and reflecting. We are very proud of the fact that we are a small school and a very tight-knit community with small class sizes. So this helps us provide that really individual and tailored approach, meaning that our boys are able to access the very top schools in London because we are catering specifically to those needs. So we actively feed to both 11 plus and 13 plus schools. And again, I think that gives families options and choices so that we can choose the route that's best suited to their son, rather than them feeling that they need to go in a certain direction. We can work together, use the data, look at their son and what they need, and find the right place for them to continue to soar and grow at their future school. So now that we are an all-through prep school with boys from age 4 up to age 13, it means that we can really tailor that experience all the way through. And with our highly experienced staff and all the early year specialists, they have a great start in their journey. And we're always so proud of them when they fly the nest at either the end of year 6 or year 8.
And many of the tests obviously fall in year 6 as pre-tests, but it's nice that they can perhaps stay until they're a little bit more mature in an environment that they're familiar with. Are there any assessments for reception, or is it registration, first come, first serve?
What we always want to ensure is that this is the right environment for the family. So it's really important that we're engaging with the family and they know exactly who we are and we know what their aspirations are for their child. So part of that process is about us getting to know one another. And so we invite parents to come in and we invite their child to come on site for a stay and play session so we can see them engaging with other children, and to ensure that this is the right environment for us to be able to seek, and to get the full potential from their child. So it's not, a rigorous assessment. I believe that I can see a lot of what I need to see in the potential of a child through interaction, communication, and seeing them play and not realise that they're being assessed. I'm very much involved in the process along with my head of early years and talking to the parents. And then in that final year, it will become sort of a first come, first serve process, in that we hope that families will have registered by Christmas of the year before they hope to join the school. So the end of the autumn term registration. And then we will start inviting them to come in for taster sessions and for conversations at the beginning of the spring term, with offers going out from the end of January to that February half term. And that's when the bulk of offers will be given. But we know that, particularly being in a city, there's always lots of movement and families moving in and out of the city. So we will always take sort of occasional places and look at, being able to provide families with that option later on in the journey as well.
So there is some flexibility. Now, it's obviously Black History Month. How is this being celebrated at Falcons Prep?
So I think it's really important to acknowledge the fact that Black history is British history. And actually, it includes stories all through British history and from those people that have migrated to and from this country. We talk about globalisation, the movement of people, commodities and knowledge. That is all relevant. So yes, it's important to recognise this month and to celebrate it, but it's not just something for 1 month. And it's something that is very important throughout our curriculum. The very fact, I suppose, that we have this month and this initiative means that there's still so much work to be done on this matter. And as a school, we take this very seriously, and we continue to review and reflect and want to embed the recognition, celebration and education of all cultures, identities and faiths within this school. So we have an ongoing commitment to diversity every day beyond just this We host a diversity forum every 6 months, for example, in the school. We had our first meeting of this academic year actually today. We invite boys, parents and staff to attend. Our first actually today was talking about our taught curriculum and the variety of books in the library and the sort of the texts that are taught in English. And is it as diverse as it can be? We have a lot of different initiatives. Our boys who have maybe part of another culture, who maybe speak another language, have the opportunity to teach other children their home language. They'll host a lunch and dishes from their home country or from their culture will be served up at lunch, and they will be able to share their love and knowledge of their culture. And of course, all those special dates in the diary, we will celebrate as a school that isn't aligned with one particular faith. We celebrate and recognise all.
Fantastic. What are some of the more unique extracurricular activities? I know there's a forest school that you offer at Falcons Prep. I've certainly got one boy, for example, who's a very keen ice skater. And what sports do you specialise in?
We specialise, I suppose, in the core sports. As a school that has the pleasure of using the space of Richmond Rugby Club and Richmond Athletics Ground, obviously rugby is a core sport for us. And we're very lucky in our position that we have all of these sporting facilities right on our doorstep. So core sports, football, cricket, rugby, hockey, but then we've got some very keen golfers as well when we use the Mid Surrey Golf Club. In terms of our sort of extracurriculars, we have one of the most amazing clubs and list of society groups I've seen in part of a prep school before, and the children get to feed back into that about what they want. So we have a Children That Cares committee, eco schools, we have a French cookery club, mythology film club, woodwork, music technology, construction, Lego, dodgeball, table football, coding, robotics, you name it, it's probably been on our club's list at some point because they get reviewed every term. And so this is for after school. We also have all the normal sort of big trips and other things both in and out of the country as well. So we're preparing for a ski trip at the moment at Christmas. As a geography teacher as well, we take the boys to Iceland and we're looking at a trip to Italy as well. So there are lots of different sports that our boys have access to. And we're very lucky that all of those facilities are very much on our doorstep.
Excellent. And you're located just outside London. How do you feel that benefits parents and children in terms of the facilities that you can offer?
We're very lucky with our site. We might look very small on the outside, but we're a large school that has been developed and built purposely for schools. So rather than, I suppose, in central London, a lot of them are repurposed townhouses. This is a building that is being developed for the sole use of educating and learning and creating that environment. And I've just said, the sporting facilities are on our doorstep, so we don't have to get coaches to go off to training grounds. We have our own astro, we have the extensive fields of Richmond Rugby Club and boys being able to do their sport on their professional pitches. We use pools in the park, Richmond Cricket Club, and with that we also get to use their coaches and the specialist coaches from each of these sports as well. So all of those facilities and that lovely outdoor space, we're right on the edge of the River Thames, and Richmond Park is all within a 5-minute walk. So when my teachers have that inspiration to go outside and they want to take the maths lesson outside and get the boys being more curious and bringing that sense of adventure into their learning, they can do so. They don't need to book a coach. They don't need to fill out extensive risk assessments because they can just go onto our grounds, which is something that many London schools don't have. You've got to go further outside of the city in order to get that space. So we're very lucky. And we're also great transport links, which means that we can access a whole variety of areas for trips and to bring that learning outside of the classroom.
Just for the people listening, I imagine that there are school buses. How far do the school buses operate?
So we review this every year depending on sort of parental demand, and we map it out and see with all the postcodes of our family. So at the moment we have 2 bus routes running. One that picks up at Barnes, around the pond in Barnes, and brings the boys to us in the morning. And then one that also weaves its way around sort of Grove Park, Turnham Green and Chiswick area up to Acton. But a fantastic bus service, both sort of morning and evening, to get the boys into school. Those bus stops are by tubes and train stations, which means that parents link it to their commute or that it's usually very close walking distance from their home. And so that sort of brings that wraparound care with boys maybe starting the earliest, getting on a bus at about 7:30 in the morning if they're right at the first of the bus stop. And then at the end of the day, boys would be leaving the bus at about 5:30, 5:45 after they've done their after school club.
So a manageable commute.
Yes.
Yeah. And final question for today. What would you say are the key characteristics of a Falcons Prep boy or child?
Yeah, this is a question we often get asked, particularly by prospective parents. And it's not an easy question for me to answer because I don't think there is one right answer. Yes, we have a strong identity. Yes, we're an all-boys school, but all of the boys and all of the staff and everyone that makes up our community has a strong identity too. So we don't have a type. We aren't looking for any particular strength or interest in a boy. We want our boys to be curious, energetic, kind, and happy. We look for boys that we know are going to thrive in this environment and be able to take full advantage of everything that we have to offer. There are lots of key characteristics that I suppose you would find from a Falcons boy. Every day when I'm walking around the school, I see confident and happy, smiley, polite boys. They're energised by the innovative learning environment. They're able to explore their different intellectual horizons, and they're growing together as socially aware young men. And today in our diversity forum, it was just, so obvious, how far our boys have come and how aware they are of their positions in society. And when they come to leave us, whether that be at the end of year 6 or the end of year 8, they are boys that have embedded our 5 learning habits of resilience and reflection, independence, curiosity and creativity. And they don't just live by them. You can really see it's part of who they are. And it makes us really proud to see them move on to their next chapter in senior schools in a place where we know that they're going to thrive. So Falcons boys, parents, when they visit us, they comment on how polite they are, how confident they are, how at ease they are in themselves, and they're very happy and willing to make mistakes and just thrive and take forward every opportunity that they're given.
Sounds amazing. And I'm sure at some point we'll be able to come and pay you a visit now that the lockdowns have lifted.
Absolutely. Anyone that wants to come and have a visit, we would be delighted to take you on a tour with some of our older boys, to come and sit in and see some of the learning that's happening, have a chat with myself or any other member of staff. Everyone is welcome.
Thank you very much. And hopefully this will help some parents trying to work out which is the best fit school for them. And it certainly sounds like Falcons Prep is very dynamic and exciting. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me.